Entry 2 of the Bookish Diaries. Welcome back, and thank you so much for listening. This week, we're taking a deep dive into how the three of us choose to review the books that we've read. We'll also be talking about when it is proper to tag an author in an Instagram review and when it is not. And we will go into how we choose to DNF or not finishing the books that we read. Megan, go ahead and take it away for us.
So for my reviews, gosh, this is, now that I'm thinking about it, this is actually a hard question with reviews, but basically, especially because I do fantasy a lot, I look at the world building, the characters, the growth of the characters, how much detail is added, if it's not enough, if it's too much detail, and then how much the story really engaged me. And so for a 5-star review, I want it to have really good world building, all of the character growth, plot. I forgot to mention that one just a second ago, the plot, what the storyline. And so if all of that hits really, really good, and I'm super engaged in the book, and I'm just loving it, that is a 5-star, immediate 5-star. And then, kind of for a 4-star, I would think that, maybe there was something a little bit off about the characters, or maybe there was something a little bit off about the world building. So it would be something really small that would make me give it a 4-star versus the 5-star. And then a 3-star would be more it was missing something from each of those sections. It wasn't all there, but it was still there. But to me, a 3-star could still actually be a decent read. It's not a DNF. I'm reading the book. I'm still enjoying the book. But there was just a few things maybe missing from it that I thought could be a little bit better. And then 2-star was it was missing a lot of stuff, but I still finished it. And then anything under 2-star would probably be a DNF actually. 1-star, I'm probably not going to finish it, but that's kind of how I do it. But I think even sometimes, if I'm thinking about it, sometimes it could still be missing stuff, and I could still give it a 5-star. It just really depends on how engaging the story is. I don't know, because sometimes they could be missing something, but it has a lot of something else that you're just this blew me away. So maybe the mood, kind of the mood that you're in can depend on the star rating too, I think.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
You said world building, right?
Right.
Can world building ever be overdone for you?
Yes. I think that sometimes they add too much detail, and then it takes away from the story. It has to have, at least for me, it has to have a good balance. I want to be able to picture the world, but that's not all I want to see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Because sometimes they just do too much detail, and you're I don't need all of that detail. I don't need you to describe every single scene that is going on,
right,
and what everything is surrounding it, which I have read books like that where they're they're talking to somebody and they're describing what the room looks like in very detailed description. I don't need to know that. Just say they're in the throne room and I'm good.
Name that I can automatically put a placeholder image in my head.
Yes. Stuff like that. I don't need all of the detail. I just need to know or even sometimes if they're planning a battle, they're in the war room or something, I could picture that in my head, but I do want the detail that describes the setting that that they're in, like is it like fort, like once they say castle or whatever, they're in a town. Like I want to know a little bit about the town to be able to like picture it, like, you know. But
Is it like a Beauty and the Beast type town, or is it like Winterfell type town? Like
yeah,
those kinds of are important to what kind of story we're reading.
yeah, but then after that, I don't need like, I mean, a little bit of detail, but I don't know. It's a really fine balance, I think, with the world building and the other stuff. But there definitely can be too much, and you're like, I don't.
You said War Room, and I immediately thought of Game of Thrones. And then you said Winterfell, and now I'm just like, all right, that's a sign. I need to rewatch Game of Thrones.
Oof. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah. I just recently rewatched Game of Thrones so that way I could do the season for what is the next one that they just did for the before?
Oh, House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragons, yes.
Yes.
I never finished the second season of that. Should go back and watch that.
That's rude. I haven't started it, so I really shouldn't say anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got to watch it. I don't think it's as good as Game of Thrones, if I'm being honest. I think it's the characters. Okay, this is going to sound so mean of me, and other people might not agree because we're talking about books and like details and stuff like that, and like characters and stuff. Like what gets me with that one is there's no pretty characters. Like none of the guys, I'm like, oh my God, that guy's hot. I don't have any of that with it.
Even Matt, what's his face from Doctor Who? Maybe I think I went in having like Matt, what is his name? Matt Smith, already like having a crush on him. And so then to see him as like this, like, I don't know, sexy, long-haired, elfin-esque, like Legolas adjacent man was.
I think he's attractive in his role, but I don't know. I don't know if I would find him attractive otherwise.
Okay.
But in his role, yes.
I think he's the most attractive in it, but I don't think, and everybody has different taste in men, but to me, he's not Legolas. Did I just say his name right? From the Lord of the Rings? Like he's not him.
I think you just broke Kate.
I'm so sorry. I just remembered that one of the eye patch, that actor.
Yes, he's kind of cute.
Facial structure, his chin. I don't know what it is.
Yes, he's kind of cute. I can take my hat off to that. Yes.
It's oddly attractive.
Although I would assume that House of the Dragon is better than Game of Thrones, just because of the way that Game of Thrones ended. Like, I'm still bitter. I'm still a little salty about this because I still don't understand why Khaleesi had to die. Like, I don't get it. She told you she was going to burn it down. She told you she was going to set fire to everybody. In all of the episodes before, she'd be saying it all the time. So when she was actively doing it, I don't understand why everybody lost their minds. She told you she was doing it. She said, this is what I'm going to do. And everybody was like, we're right beside you. Let's go burn shit down. And then she burnt it down. And then everyone's up in arms talking about, oh, you just killed a bunch of innocent people. She told you she was going to. I don't understand. She should not have died. That just hurt my whole heart.
I have something I have to say in regards to that a lot of people didn't realize. And actually rewatching it, I don't know if you remember, Kate, I messaged you and I was talking about her dying. And I was like, I think it's kind of mean that everybody like turned her into the villain, because in the episodes before she burned the whole city down, her best friend was beheaded. And right before her best friend was beheaded, she said, Dracarys. And I probably just butchered that word, but she literally told her to burn everything down, and her friend was beheaded. Now, do I think it was nice that she killed a bunch of innocent people? No, but like literally her friend was beheaded and told her to burn everything. And like you said, everybody knew what she was going to do. Like, she has a dragon. What do you think happens with dragons when you're fighting them and they're spitting fire out of their mouth? Like, people are going to die. It's not like they could aim, like if you have like a gun or a bow and arrow where you could like aim at like one person and be like, all right, I'm going to kill this one person. It's a dragon that's breathing fire.
Unnecessary, super unnecessary. Drogon, whatever his name is, the big one. He carried her off, like he mourned her death and then took her away. And we never found out where the hell he went. What happened to her? Did he bury her? Did he burn her to a crisp? Is she ashes?
Of seasons were so rushed and shittily done that they didn't.
Really was.
Sort of like, yeah, I don't care. Like, my beef is not that Daenerys burned everything down. My beef is with the show directors and runners who decided to like skip massive amounts of time in between episodes, complete characters from the book, and just like take something that was awesome and just kind of like very quickly be like, oh, we have to wrap this up all of a sudden.
Like, I think they should do a pickup, and I want to know what happened to Khaleesi. And you know what? Find a way to bring her back. Okay? You know, if you can bring back Jon Snow, you can bring back Khaleesi.
I want George R.R. Martin to finish his book. That's what
I was just going to say that I have been dying for him to finish that series, and he's so aggression. Now I don't think he's going to.
At this point, if he released it, I almost wouldn't buy it just to be like, fuck you. Too long. I'm supporting you. It was rude to wait this long for your fans. I don't know.
Because how long has it been? Hasn't it been like over 10 years or something like that? Like since he wrote the last one? Like it's been long
enough
since he wrote the last book. And yeah, I kind of feel the same way. And sorry, people, we're totally going off topic right now. Hey.
11.
How long?
Years?
11. So 14 years.
Oh, 14.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
I knew it was a long time.
10-year policy. If it takes you longer than 10 years to put your book out, I'm not reading it. I'm not reading the sequel. For all those authors out there who want me to read statute of limitations.
Pretty much now we're just going to go off of the ending with the show. Even though I do hate the ending of that. I really do. Because I'm like everybody else. I want to know what happened to her. I want to know where he took her body. Did she come back? Did she really die? Because not all the time when you get stabbed, you really die, and they didn't check. So, like, maybe she could still be alive somewhere.
We did not see
she only got stabbed once. How many times did Jon Snow get stabbed? A couple hundred?
We didn't see her buried. We didn't see her body burned. It's like zombie movies, like with like the double tap. If you don't double tap, then it's very open to.
You know what it feels like to me? You know, back in the day when you were watching Disney Channel and all of a sudden you just see all of these reruns of your favorite series, like the Lizzie McGuire series. Such a good series. Rewatch it as an adult and you're like, what? What happened? Like season 3, I can't remember how it started, but somewhere there, I'm like, how is episode 6 graduation, but episode 2 is like moving on to I'm so confused. And that's what the ending of Game of Thrones feels like. Like, it is not finished. It is not complete. Or this episode was supposed to be somewhere up here and something else was supposed to happen and we just never got the episode. Didn't they do that with Hey Arnold? That jungle movie that came out a few years ago, that was supposed to come out at the end of Hey Arnold, but there was some kind of disagreement with the writers, which is why it came out 20 years later. Oh. I feel like in 20 years we're going to get a proper ending to the Game of Thrones.
Maybe.
Give justice.
And I'm sad that they sent Jon Snow back to the okay, I mean, I'm mad that he killed her, but why did they have to send him back to the wall?
They should have just thrown him into the ocean, killing Khaleesi. I swear.
No, I still love Jon Snow. He's he's so good looking and I just love him. And he's got that like baby face and you're just like, and
You
he's
just
such a badass.
You're just like,
No.
oh, little baby boy, let me help
No,
you.
he killed Khaleesi. I hope he gets diarrhea and stubs his toe and he can't find his favorite belt. I hope all of those things for his life. I don't like him. How dare he? I hope his tea gets cold before he can drink it. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not
I went
saying-
there.
Damn.
You
Rude.
just like him. Oh gosh, that's funny. Should we get back to topic after we went on a tangent? I think that my section, I think I was done with
Your types of reviews.
my reviews. Yeah. So Helen, it is now your turn to talk about how you rate your books.
I honestly, it's not far from you. I love a good description, but I feel like there's a fine line between a really good description and an overdrawn description. And so for me, I love to be able to visualize. And when I'm reading, typically it's like I'm watching a movie in my head. It's really easy for me to get the visuals. So there are some books I read where the descriptions that are a page long fit and it's well written. So I work with it. And there are others that will do something similar or close to. And I'm like, I don't need 2 paragraphs of what kind of green the leaf was. I don't care. It was green. Cool. So for me, if I have a 5-star read, chapter 1 had me and kept me. And it kept me throughout the book. A 4-star read is probably the kind of book that maybe I had to read a few chapters of, but by about chapter 5 or 6, I'm hooked and I'm good to go. But for it to be a 4 or 5-star read, I have to be hooked to it. I have to want to finish it. I need the next chapter. Like putting the book down should be difficult for me to do. And if I do have to put it down, to adult and be responsible, then I should be thinking about it until I can get back to it. Those are my 5 and 4-star reads. This might sound really bad, but if it's below 4 stars, I'm probably not going to review it. I don't read a lot of books where I think I'm like, nah, this is 3 stars or below. Anything I review, especially on my Instagram page or my Goodreads or something like that, is always 5 or 4 stars. I won't review anything below 3 stars publicly, because if it's 3 stars to me, then I really don't like it. And it's not my kind of thing. Other times, if I can see where someone who enjoys this kind of book would pick it up and enjoy it, and I can relate to that, then I will put it at 4 stars and review it. There was one book I finished it, but I was not happy with it at all. It stressed out my whole liver. It was a process. And by the time I finished it, I was just like, I'm so over this book. I hate it. I would never read it again. But I could see where somebody else would absolutely love this book. So when I reviewed it, I had it at 4 stars because I could see where a certain type of person would be super into the way the book was constructed. So typically that's how I try and do my reviews, especially when it's online. What about you, Kate?
So I am much more of a mood reader, and so it's a little bit tricky. I've stopped posting on Instagram my star count of reviews because it stresses me out to rate something that someone else. I'm just like, this book was good, I liked it. If it was a 4 or 5 star. And so 5 stars for me are books that I devoured. So if I plan to read them again, it's a 5-star. If I could not stop reading it, it's a 5-star. If when my partner asked me a question, I was crabby, it's a 5-star. If I have to go and make dinner and not read my book and I'm mad about it, it's a 5-star. And so that for me, and that can be anything. It just kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for, because traditionally I do really like heavy high fantasies with a lot of world building and a lot of intrigue and multiple points of views and all that jazz. But then sometimes I do just want like a smutty little quick, no world building, just like, some good vibes. But that can still be a 5-star, even though there's no world building, and even if it's like not fantasy based. 4 stars for me are if I still really liked the book, but something in it really bugged me. Like I couldn't stop thinking about either like a plot hole or like a character was really grating on me. Or if I just didn't like, how it ended or something, then I'll probably do a 4-star. But I also like the reason that I don't like putting the star count on Instagram is just because I didn't like the character. It doesn't mean that everyone else won't. And so it's like, no, this book is really great. I didn't necessarily vibe with this character, but you might. And then kind of like with Helen, I don't remember the last time I rated a book 3 stars. If I think a book is 3 stars, then I probably didn't finish it. And if I did, then it was like maybe because I felt like I like had to, and then I won't review it on Instagram. I'll just put 3 stars, and I probably won't leave a review like on Goodreads. I'll just like leave the star count if I feel like I need to, because I do enjoy having the Goodreads reading challenge. I need my stats to stay up. So that's kind of where I'm at with my reviews. Megan, when you're doing reviews, when do you decide to tag an author versus when do you decide not to tag an author?
So I've kind of started a little bit the method with you with on Instagram, not doing the star rating. And there, I still have a couple that I have, but I've been kind of trying to just put in the description, like a brief description and like what I liked about the book, and then post it. But generally I think anything under, if I am going to, and when I was doing the star rating all the time, was nothing under 4 stars. I won't tag the author. I think that it's mean a little bit to do that. And then also one thing that I've decided to do on Instagram is if it is under 4 stars, I probably don't even want to, like, I won't even like post about it. Like, because I just don't think, like, I want like the people to follow me to, like, I guess know like what books I like and what I don't. And then authors that follow me, like, I don't want them to come to my page and see me like putting like, even if I don't tag the author, like seeing like 3-star books on there. And I think I have posted a couple of 3-star ones, but I kind of just like made the decision that I just don't even want to do that on Instagram. I just want to post like the books that I really, really liked. And but yeah, I think anything under 4 stars, like you just shouldn't tag the author. It should be 4 or above. Helen, what about you?
I think that's my agreement. If it's not 4 or above, I don't see the point in tagging the author. I think we should be tagging authors in things that are really, really loved, things that's celebrated, you know? I don't think you need to step on their toes with like any negative vibes or anything like that. In that case, do your review for the people that you want to be able to see your review and be like, maybe it's not the book for me, maybe it is the book for me. But don't tag the author in it if it's a down there review. I don't know. I think it's in poor taste And when someone puts that much work, into something and is pouring almost a piece of themselves into these pages, I think it's just a little disheartening and unnecessarily critical to do it. Because the ones I've seen, judging off of those, there's nothing that I would take as good criticism from those kind of reviews. All they're talking about is what they didn't like, what they didn't vibe with, and when you're saying, I didn't like the way this was done, maybe if it had gone in this direction, maybe that's a little different, but that's a whole different area. That's still not something to me that you need to be tagging them in. Some authors, though, will tell you that they don't mind. They don't mind being tagged in good or bad. But the few authors I've met that have that mindset are very, I don't care either way. I'm just glad I did it. I'm glad I put a book out there, But there you have a lot of authors who are just, no, thank you. Don't tag me. And I think you should just respect that too. What about you, Kate?
I would agree. Well, since I don't do the star ratings anyway on Instagram, I wouldn't post about a book that I didn't like, nor would I tag the author if I posted about a book that I didn't like. Like, even if I was doing like I don't know, because I know that some Instagrammers will do like the books that I DNF'd this month or something like that post. And I do find those interesting because I think it is interesting to know like what people are reading and what they didn't read. But I still just don't know. I don't know. It's difficult because at one point, when I go to a restaurant, I'll read all the reviews and I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Like I want to know what I've been to. With a book, I rarely even, as a book reviewer, I rarely read reviews because I don't really care if so and so liked it. I care if I'm gonna like it. Wait.
So I was about to ask the two of you if you actually read the reviews before you pick a book, or if like
No.
you see a book and you're into it, if you actually check out the reviews first, because I don't.
I only read reviews after, and even then,
Same.
sometimes.
I agree. I don't do that either because like there have been times where I have read the reviews and like everybody like gave the book like the average rating is like 3.5, which isn't bad, and I really loved it. Like I absolutely loved the book. And I'm like sitting there thinking, I'm like, how did people rate this like low? Like this is like an amazing book.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't ever pay attention. I don't read them.
Yeah. One thing I want to encourage our listeners to do though is if you loved a book, post about it. Also message the author. They might not message you back, but odds are they will, and then you'll get to like tell an author how cool you thought that their story was and how it impacted you. And it kind of, I don't know, it always gives me like a little woohoo high when I do it. I love it. I'm like, oh, they messaged me back. This is so exciting. Because they're just people. Like, it's still something that I'm trying to get over in my head with editing for authors. I'm like, no, this is like a real person. But in my head, like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to Taylor Swift. What's going on?
I have one author that I was proofreading for, and I proofread 3 of her books that aren't out yet. And when I tell you that I became such a fan, I was fully fangirling over her in every way. Like I was obsessed. And when I finished the first book, she said, "Oh, I have the second book." What? Oh, say less, give me the book. Give me the book. And I couldn't get through them fast enough, but at the same time, I did not want to finish. And just being able to speak to her and give her my thoughts and give her suggestions. I remember the first time that she took one of my suggestions and put it in the book. When I tell you, I freaked all the way out. I really did. I was unwell. I was not okay.
Do you want to shout out this author or is it under wraps?
No, I think it's totally okay. Maggie Arnold. She just published 2 of her books in paperbacks, and I could not get to it fast enough. I really didn't check anything. I bought the first, and is that the second one or the first one?
That's the
I think
second
that's the second one. So I got the first and the second one immediately because I was just so excited, because up until that point she'd only released on Kindle, and I couldn't understand it. I wanted paperbacks as soon as. So as soon as she did it, I was like, click.
one.
Yup.
So pretty. Her
I
book
think
cover.
she's an amazing writer. I absolutely love her reading. It's so cozy. It's so almost familiar, and I can see them being movies. Whether it's a Hallmark or Netflix, I can see her books turning into movies. And I have reread both those books a couple times already.
Have you read Lift, Laugh, Love yet?
Yes.
Okay, I really like that one too. You're
I
right.
need to do a reread of that.
It's like you're reading about your friend. Like
Yes.
you just kind of like get dropped in, and then all of a sudden the vibes start vibing, the spice starts spicing, things heat up.
And when Maggie Arnold writes a spicy scene, I messaged her one day and I said, it should be a crime that you write a spicy scene that freaking well. Like, it is not okay that you can do that. It's flawless. And her characters are so lovable off the bat. They're so easy to just fall in love with. Just not right.
Alrighty. On to DNF'ing, which means did not finish. Yes.
Did not finish. Yep.
So, Megan, when did you start DNF'ing? Was it a new thing that you just started doing? Have you been doing it your whole life?
So I've been doing it my whole life. I think that, and sometimes people who struggle with it, like, this is what I tell them is books should be enjoyable, right? We're reading because it's something that we enjoy and something that we want to do. And I feel like if the story, and it doesn't mean if I DNF a book that somebody else isn't going to love it, but if I'm not like super engaged in it, I immediately like, and this is probably bad, I probably give to about 15-20%. And if I'm not like hooked and I'm not super engaged, I stop reading and I move to the next one. And I've even had some that I've stopped in like the first chapter because I'm just like, no. But at the same time, like, I just think that it's like we have to enjoy it, and I'm doing it because it's something that like I want to do. And I think that more people need to be like less afraid to do that. Like, and you don't need to go on, like, I see people like sometimes when I have looked at reviews, like when I'm going to Goodreads and getting ready to like post like my own review, sometimes that's when like I'll look at the reviews, which is after I've read the book. Like, I'll see like people post, I DNF'd this. Why are you even going to put that you DNF'd it?
Yes.
Yeah. And I see it so many times and I'm like, there's like no point in this. You can't give any factual anything about the book because you didn't finish it. I will say though that sometimes, and I don't know if anybody else does this, sometimes when I know I'm DNFing the book, I will skip all the way to the end because I want to see, even though I don't want to read the whole book, I still want to know what happened at the end. So I'll skip and like read like the last chapter and I'm like, oh, okay. But I won't ever put, like, I won't go on Amazon. I won't go on Goodreads. I don't sit there. I just don't think it's fair to go on there just to say I DNF this.
Mm.
But I think it does be acceptable. Oh, so I know we already talked about this topic, but something popped in my head and I I want to ask both of you guys. Do you guys ever have sometimes like books, like it doesn't matter like what the book is, like if a book can make me cry, like automatic 5 stars.
Yeah.
Like if it brings out like deep emotion, like if it can make me laugh out loud,
Yes.
or like cry,
Yeah.
or like just like a deep emotion, like I'm like, this is automatically a 5 star.
Same. 100%.
I agree with that. Because they're like, you did your job. You were attempting to make me emotional and sad, and you did. Or like, you were attempting to like make me cry, laugh with this line, and you did that. So like, job well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to know what you guys, because I didn't know, and that popped in my head when you guys started talking about like your reviews and stuff, and I was like, if something can make me like cry or like laugh, I'm like 5 stars. I don't care what else is in the book. Anyways, I didn't mean to go off topic, but Helen, you want to go about DNF?
DNFing. I actually thought that my not finishing a book was a this year thing. It's not. It's been a thing for sure. I just didn't really think about it too much until I joined Bookstagram and realized that this is a whole topic of discussion for people. And I've never really had a problem not finishing a book. There's been a few books where it might have been tough for me to finish, but like Kate has said, I felt like I had to finish the book. But I've never really thought, oh, I can't not finish it now. No. If I have the thought that I don't want to finish the book, I'm not going to finish the book. And I'm not going to try and force myself to finish it either. Because like Megan said, you're supposed to enjoy reading. I like to be immersed into a whole other world. So fantasy is my go-to for sure. But I like to be completely submerged into whatever I'm reading. I just want it to overtake my entire mind so that when I put the book down for whatever reason, it's almost disorienting to walk back into the real world. Like, what is happening? Oh, this is not okay. Yeah, we're peopling. Okay, so if I'm not finishing a book, then the world building wasn't there, the characters weren't there, there was no real connection. The flow wasn't good for me at all. If it's multiple POVs and you don't write those POVs to make sense to me, I love multiple POVs, point of views, for those of us who do not know what that means. I love a good POV, but if you can't write POVs to flow properly, don't do it. Just don't do it to yourself.
I have a question about the point of view. Do you ever think that there's a point where there's too many?
Yes. That's not a hard question.
You're like, yeah.
I used to, and then I read Zodiac Academy, and in the last book, I think there's like between 15 to 20, and like I craved each point of view because I had gotten to know like each character. I think if you're starting off your first book in your series with 15 point of views, that's too many. But if you have an 8-book series and now you've met all of these people, then I think adding point of views each time is acceptable.
As long as the flow is right.
As long as, right. And it has to be like, it has to make sense, because I have read books where like other people's point of views are in this person's point of view, and I'm like, this is confusing.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And like, if it's really jarring and taking you out of the story, then yeah, I agree, it doesn't work. But if it's done well, then I don't think that there's too many. I mean, I'm if you did like 100, that's like ridiculous. Anything more than 20, I think, is maybe too many, depending on the books and who you are. Yeah, you have to earn it.
I think I've never read a book that has 20 point of views. But I would say, never having read a book like that, yeah, it's too many to me. But I would definitely give it a chance to see if I could do it and really enjoy it. But it's not the first time I'm hearing Zodiac Academy, so now I just really want to read this series. I've never read it.
It's
No. This year is the
so
first time I've heard about it.
good.
And I keep hearing about it. And I've seen it. I think I've seen it on Megan's page. I know I've seen it on your page. And you have mentioned it a couple of times when I've been talking to you one-on-one. So clearly it's something I need to have a look at.
I didn't get into like the ACOTAR or Throne of Glass or Fourth Wing books, but like Zodiac Academy really just held on for dear life.
I haven't read that one yet, Zodiac Academy. That's actually one
Oh, okay.
series that I keep saying that, like, I want to read it. I just feel like I have, because I do know that there are multiple points of views in it. And I feel like I have to be in the right mindset to read that, because some books are like good with like multiple points of views. But sometimes, like most of the time, I like prefer like 2 to 3. And then anything, unless the authors like do it really well, like Helen was saying, I can't do it. But I also have to be in the right mood, in the right mindset to read like anything more than 4.
I totally get that. And I do think that I want to say this in the most respectful way possible, because I adore these books and I really like the authors. It's not like because the first book I think has 6 point of views, which when I started reading, I was like, this is too many point of views. And then I really got into it and was like, oh, because especially in the first book, it's all almost taking place like in the same place. It's just really easy. And they do like a really good job of like, each person that has their point of view has like a very distinct like powers and personality, and so I found it really easy. Like it was I don't know. It just, yeah, it was just really easy to like get into and flow with, whereas I feel like Game of Thrones and those multiple point of views were just, there was a lot more that you had to remember and think about and put together, whereas Zodiac is just kind of zoop. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
Zoop. I love your sound effects.
Thanks.
That's
All
so
right.
good.
Were you done with your DNF thoughts, Helen?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, we went off topic.
I started DNFing last year, I think. Sometimes my brain is weird, and I don't think that I knew it was something that you were allowed to do, which is silly because I'm allowed to do like whatever I want. But I think in my head, I had it like, okay, no, I committed to this book. So I need to finish this book. I need to see where the characters are at. And so there would be times I was reading and I just, oh my gosh, it would take me weeks to finish a book. And I wouldn't start another book because I had to finish this book first. And then I don't remember if I saw a post on Instagram or what it was, but all of a sudden I realized like, oh, it's acceptable to not finish a book? That's allowed? Okay, cool. And then I also realized that you were allowed to read multiple books at one time, which again, I'm an adult woman. I should know that like these things are allowable. But that also helped. And so my rule for DNFing is I give it 5 chapters. And if it has not hooked me in 5 chapters, then it's gone. And I try my best to get through to 5 chapters, but I found that a lot of times, especially with Kindle Unlimited, I will just go for the covers that I think are cool. And if it doesn't hook me in the first chapter, then I'm like, okay, that's fine. Or sometimes there's different writing styles. I think it's second person. I don't know. I picked up this one book and I was really excited about it, but it was written, the point of view that it was written in was so odd and off-putting that I just couldn't, I have no idea what the story was about, but just like the way it was written, my brain was rejecting it.
I've had that before with books where like they write it, and I don't even know what style to call it, but I think I know what you're talking about because I've had that. And my brain is like, I can't do this.
Hey, when we were talking about it, I was thinking what's weird is with all the streaming services there are, for years I have been able to start some random show, watch it for 5 to 10 minutes, and be like, nah, pass. But I haven't been able to do that with books, and I think that's so weird.
I think it goes back to school. Because
It
remember, in school, you have to read this book and you have to finish this book.
You
You
have to
have
write a
to be able
report.
to report on it. You have to be able to talk about this book and argue points on this book. And I think it somehow gets ingrained and you don't even realize it. And then as an adult, you kind of have this light bulb moment where you think, oh, wait, I don't have to finish this stupid book. I can just have it on my shelf looking pretty. That's okay. That is totally acceptable.
Sometimes it takes you to 30 years old, but you get there eventually.
You guys want to know something crazy? So I know a lot of people like buy books. Speaking of books, I know this is off topic again. I will not buy a book. Well, I have a couple of times, but I generally do not buy books unless I've read them and I know that I like them, and I just buy them to sit on my shelf, and I don't ever touch them again. Unless
I've started doing that because of how many books I have taken to a used bookstore to be like, never gonna read these.
Yes.
Or bought these and hated them.
Have I done that? Yes. I think there's been a few books that I was able to read on my Kindle app, and I loved it so much I had to have the physical copy. And it's a trophy on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
I just love it on my shelf. But I do have most of my books where sometimes I'll read it on my Kindle app and other times I might listen to it. And sometimes I just want the physical book in my hands. I want the smell of the book in my nose holes. I just want I want that comfiness of the book and the smell and the feel and the touch. I just need it.
I get that.
I just get too obsessed and I'm like, I don't want fingerprints on my book. And I actually, before, if I am going to mess with a book to show somebody, I wash my hands first to make sure they're clean. And I don't
Like letting them
anything on it.
Yes. I'm so glad someone else does that. I feel so normal.
I did pick up the habit. I used to not care, but my husband is like very like particular with books. And so I picked up that habit from him. Because like when I would go to like touch one of his books that he has that's like a collector, he'd be like, you need to wash your hands before you touch this. And so I would. So now I've just picked up that habit where I'm like, I can't touch this book unless my hands are clean and I don't have like lotion or like grease on it. And I don't like opening up the spines too much because I don't want the spines to crack.
Same.
Careful with opening them. Yeah.
Yes. I have books on my shelf that I've had for years, read multiple times, but you would never tell by the way the spine looks. I hate seeing cracked spines. It's just not okay.
Those reels that are like, you want to see something triggering, and then they're like, bam. You're like,
like it gives me a heart attack. I'm like
I really don't. I know that it's your book and you're allowed to do whatever you want, but I really did feel that in my soul and in my spirit.
I saw someone, I can't remember where I was. I was in the States with my friend Jessica, and I saw someone dog ear a book. And my response was such an out of body experience. And even Jessica was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, would you relax? Because I saw it and it was over, like, it was over there. It's not like they were close to me or anything. But, and I don't know why I was looking at this person. I have no idea. But I'm looking and I saw them bend the page and I grabbed Jessica and I went, and Jessica goes, what? What is it? What happened? I said, they just bent the page of their book. Jessica said, what is wrong with you? I thought something. Listen. And she was so mad at me. She walked like 5 steps ahead of me for at least half an hour after that. And I spent at least 2.5 hours complaining about this person folding the page of their book. And I actually bought a bookmark. And I'm looking for them when we went to the cash out line. I'm like, just in case I see them. Just in case. I'm just going, random gift. Here you go. You know, faith in humanity. Restored. You're welcome. Use it. You know, in the most least aggressive tone possible.
Oh, that is hilarious.
I may have a problem. Needless to say, I have a ton of bookmarks.
I see so many books. But I also hate bookmarks. I can't use a bookmark because then if the bookmark can't go perfectly in the pages and I don't know anxiety if the bookmark is straight and flush inside the page, so I have to use a sticky note on the outside because I can't have anything close to the binding of the book and it not be like perfectly lined up because I am crazy.
That was perfect.
My favorite thing to use as bookmarks is actually because I feel like sometimes bookmarks, I feel like they may damage the page too. Like if you leave them in there and it's too like compressed that it may leave marks on the pages. So my favorite thing to use is receipts. Like just paper because it's flat. And usually we're girls who does not have receipts in our purses, like tons of them. Probably. And I just grab one out and I use it. But I also haven't read a physical book in like a couple of years probably because I only read on Kindle and then I get the books for the shelf.
I'm not judging you at all. Like I'm not judging in any shape, way, or form. But I am also judging you. Heathen bookmark. I'm just saying. Just going to throw that out there for you. Do with the information what you will. Bookmark.
I have to say, I'm glad that you don't read physical books because just thinking about a bunch of books in your house with like random receipts like in there.
Thank you.
Is like not causing
my head
any...
hurts just thinking about this because I know what your bookshelves look like. So I'm just sitting here thinking if we just randomly show up at her house one day and start looking, like just start opening books, how many receipts are we going to find?
You probably would. So when my house got destroyed like a few months ago and we had to pack everything up, we put to make sure our books did not get damaged, we wrapped them up in boxes and made them all nice. But when I was taking them out, there was some receipts that, like the old books that I've read, like physically read, there was receipts in them. So you may pull out a book that's like one of my older ones that may have a receipt in it somewhere.
I don't know if this is for sure or not, but I'm getting the sensation that your house was destroyed because you keep putting receipts in box and the book gods were like, nope, karma. So they flooded it and said, fix it. So I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to fix it, I would not be opposed to that life choice. I would fully support that life choice, actually. I'm just saying.
Actually, I think I know one book right now that might have a receipt in it because it's a book that I never finished. And I didn't want to lose the page.
You made Kate change color.
I can't remember the author's name, but it's the author who did, why can't I remember her name? And I know the book title. It's Clockwork Prince. Oh. It's the one who did like The City of Bones.
Oh, Cassandra Clark?
Yes, Cassandra Clark. I love her books. but that one was like one that I started like many, many years ago. And then life just got busy and then I didn't finish it. So I do know that I have a receipt in that book because I want to know where I left off. So that receipt is still there. I do know that one. That one I made sure I kept.
I think Kate is having anxiety right now. You've broken Kate twice in this conversation. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Oh gosh. Sorry guys, I broke you.
All right. That's all right.
I'm gonna have nightmares about receipts in books tonight. I know it. No, I'm gonna text you in the morning and be like, listen, you see what you did?
Books though, they don't, that's the point. They don't damage the books.
Neither do bookmarks. That's why they're bookmarks.
Do sticky notes.
Just little bookmarks. I mean, I'm not even gonna get started on you and your sticky notes, ma'am. It's just
Bookmarks
heathens.
fall out.
I'm surrounded by heathens.
Sticky notes don't. They're stuck there.
You know what I need to do? I need to send out
Sticky
friend
stuff on the
applications.
pages. And then that
That's the
gives me
conclusion.
CD.
What?
I said that the sticky notes then leave little sticky marks, and then that gives me OCD that I have sticky stuff on my book page.
I have anxiety. You have OCD. We're a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just all go about bookmarking our books how we see best fit and promising not to dog ear any pages. Compromise?
You guys are totally entitled to your wrong opinions on how to bookmark your books. Definitely.
Everybody
All right.
can use what they want. Just saying. Just saying. For all of the listeners, you do you. There's
With a
no
bookmark.
Let us know in the comments how you.
Which bookmark you use.
Yes.
A proper bookmark with tassels or like a
whatever
charm
bookmark.
or a magnetic one. Anything but a receipt. And please don't comment and tell me that you use gum paper. I swear I can't handle it. I just can't. It's too much. My head hurts just thinking about it.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so now that we went off topic again,
We're so chaotically wonderful.
we are. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Chaotically functioning. Yes, I'm here for it.
What are we missing now, Kate?
I think the exit, just the.
Thanks for joining our chaos.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you guys for listening to our lovely chaos. I think it's great. Oh gosh.
We are super excited for a special guest next entry. So definitely stick around, mark your calendars for.
So excited! I had to get that out, sorry.
We post Instagram all about it. And feel free to. Just kidding. I was going to say, feel free to ask questions about the guests. But like, do we want to say who the guest is so then people can like send us questions, or do we want to like have a post later?
I think we should tease the guest. I don't think we should say who the guest is until the episode airs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or no, because then the guest can post as well.
Oh, that's true.
So yeah, I think we should say who our guest is.
Do you think on the episode, or just like tease it at the end of the episode and then maybe like a week before the guest we do a post?
I would say tease it at the end of the episode, and then a week before once this episode airs, then afterwards, like 2 days, 3 days after, we start teasing the guest, and then we announce the guest and post and everything.
Do we want? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, or we don't tell them who it is, and then they have to tune in and they can, well, no, because then they can't ask questions. Never mind, because it's not live.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. That does not work. Yes, we would have to tell them beforehand. So that way, if there's specific questions that they want, to know that we're not
Yeah.
asking.
But I
What?
also think that way, the authors can promote on their pages as well and be like, hey, make sure you tune into this podcast. And
Yes, because I think that is important to get the cross promotion. What if it's the episode that has the guest the next week? We like literally tease it by saying like, can you guess who our next guest is? With hints like she has over 30 books. She's been writing for 12 years. Her latest book has become an instant TikTok sensation. And then say like,
yes.
yes, in the comments, because then we're like, we know people are watching. People are like guessing in the comments, and then we'll say we'll post or we'll announce who it is next week.
Mhm.
Were you right?
Maybe we can be like, we'll send you the ebook.
What if
If
we
you guess it.
give them a hint to make it fun, is we tell them like, so say the book is, and I'm just using this as an example, A Court of Thorns and Roses. We say that the book title has roses in the title, or a court. Court is like so many fantasy books use court, but if you could guess by, this is a part of the title. I don't know. I was just trying to think of ways to make it fun.
So maybe like for this one, we could say like, thank you so much for joining. Next entry, we're gonna have a super special guest. Can you guess who it is? Her latest book deals with mythology, or
Yes.
Her latest book deals with mythology. It's a hint without giving too much away.
post a bunch of authors that write mythology. And then someone can go on and be like, oh, I like mythology. This book.
Yes, I like that idea. I think that that's perfect, actually,
I'm for that.
because it makes it a little fun.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you guys want me to do the exit, or just one of you guys want to do the exit?
Are we rotating opening and closing, or are we going to stick to just...
I think you guys should do the opening and closing, because I think that you guys both have really nice voices. And I think that my voice, I sound sometimes a little bit like a dude. I think you guys have nice, sweet, and I'm like a deeper voice.
Okay, I'll close off then.
I don't feel like you sound like a dude. I totally get like hearing your voice back at me like, okay, want to do the exit, or do you want me to do the exit?
I'll do the exit.
Alrighty.
So we're doing... Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bookish Diaries. And if you join us on our next Bookish Diaries entry, we have a very special guest who will be joining us. And a hint of who she might be: her latest book deals in mythology and was a TikTok instant sensation, or an instant TikTok sensation. Let us know in the comments below who you think it might be, and maybe we'll drop another hint with a few other books that you might want to check out. Until next time, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.